Today is not just another day on the calendar. It is the beginning of a turning point, a declaration written in the hearts of millions that Africa will no longer bow to the West. This is not mere rhetoric, it is a call to action. It is the voice of a people who have suffered decades of subjugation, exploitation, and dependency. And it is here in this moment that the chains of neocolonialism begin to snap. For centuries, Africa's natural wealth, its gold, its land, its labor, has flowed outward, unleashing foreign coffers while leaving our peoples hungry, dispossessed, and disempowered. It is a story of extraction, of debt, of foreign armies stationed on our soil, under a banner of aid or security. But we ask, Africa has sunshine in abundance, fertile soil, and rivers teeming with life. Why is it the poorest continent? Why do our children cry for food while our soil nourishes others? These questions persist because answers rooted in power and justice have not been offered. But today we offer a new answer. Africa demands dignity. Africa demands self-reliance. And Africa demands to reclaim its destiny. The time of Africa's enslavement by Western regimes is over. African youths, inspired by the legacy of revolutionary figures like Thomas Sankara, are waking up from a long siesta imposed by foreign hegemony. They are no longer satisfied with crumbs from the table of global powers. They want a whole banquet, not as servants but as equals. We reject the notion that African nations must be in the halls of international financial institutions, laden with strings that entangle our sovereignty. We refuse the IMF loans that demand privatization of our assets and the divestment of our rising industries. We reject the World Bank treaties that perpetuate dependency. Instead, we chart our own path. Debt clearance, resource control, and strategic partnerships based on egalitarian exchange, not hierarchy. Burkina Faso has paid off 4.7 billion in external debt to free our economy and redirect our resources toward developing our people and our infrastructure. We expel foreign military force from our country, not out of anger, but out of necessity. For decades, Western troops operated under the guise of protecting us, yet they anchored our dependency. In February 2021, Burkina Faso officially ended its agreements with French military forces. With this act, we reaffirmed our entitlement to defend our own sovereignty on our soil and with our people. Culture is our weapon. Over decades, colonial power attempted to erase our languages, our dress, our traditions, and our narratives. Today we resurrect them. In our courts, lawyers no longer wear colonial robes. They wear faso danfani, our hand-woven cloth. Its threads bear witness to identity, pride, and resistance. We banned the importation of second-hand Western clothes. We invested in local artisans. We elevated African attire in public institutions. This is not symbolic. This is sovereignty. We are constructing infrastructure not for foreign profit, but for communities. Our national gold refinery processes hundreds of tons of ore within our borders. A bold step that transforms raw wealth into national capital. We nationalized gold mines and required that corporations share technical knowledge and profits. No longer extractive partners, but responsible collaborators. Agro-industrial plants turn our tomato harvests into tomato concentrate. Cotton becomes finished fabric. Who partnership are chosen, not coerced. Rather than align exclusively with Western powers, we embrace diverse relationships. We engage with nations that recognize mutual respect and promise strategic collaboration. Russia, Turkey, China, these alliances are not aimed at replacing one master with another, but at dismantling the logic of dependency and building self-reliant systems in science, education, and security. We invite foreign universities not to extract our data, but to build our expertise. We invite technology exchange, training, and research rooted in our realities. We are no longer passive players in ECOWAS or other institutions that act in the interests of external powers. Together with Mali and Niger, we formed the Alliance of Sahel States, grounded in mutual defense, economic solidarity, and a shared commitment to reclaim our continent. We worked towards shared currencies, regional funding, mechanisms, and collective security. That is unity born of sovereignty. And a village. We teach our youth the truth of history, not colonial myths, but a real story that our grandparents fought against Nazism, yet returned only to face repression, that our rivers and lands have nourished empires while ours suffered hunger, that the narrative Western media spins about Africa is built on distortion and half-truths. That illusion ends now. We control our narrative. Security is not imposed, it is defended. We abolished foreign questionnaire about our terrorism. We built a homegrown defense force, the Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland, nearly doubling in size in under 2 years. We mobilized universities to train engineers, doctors, farmers, and soldiers who understand that true freedom requires mutual responsibility and preparation. This is not just a national revolution, it is a continental awakening. Across Africa and in diaspora communities, youth are resonating with this message. They seek leaders who deliver progress, not empty gestures, who prioritize schools, hospitals, factories, not monuments. When offered 200 mosques by a foreign king, we said what we need aren't symbols, we need tools. That is leadership with integrity. Yes, our journey has met resistance. Security conditions have worsened in parts of the Sahel. Critics cry out about human rights. Governor gaps, insurgencies, and repression cannot be denied. The prévoyance, the old model, Western-backed democracy has repeatedly failed Africans. We are forging new systems, not perfect, but real, accountable, citizen first. Our economic growth speaks. Burkina Faso's GDP rose from 180 months USD million to over 20 million under our leadership, even amid conflict. Our infrastructural projects, the airport, roads, hospitals, schools, are not PRI exercises, but permanent assets. Salaries of ministers were slashed, civil servants' wages increased, leadership serving, not feasting. African leaders who cling to old Western alignment must ask themselves, are they leading in service of their people or of foreign interests? Our movement is changing the bar for what leadership means. Cultural identity, sovereignty, youth and infrastructure, over cozy Western legacies. This struggle for independence is not passive. It is active resistance. Colonial legacies are not buried. They must be dismantled. Institutions that sustain inequality must be rebuilt. We must reclaim our currency, our land, our economy, our narrative. That is not unrealistic, that is necessary, that is ours. Africa will no longer bow to the West. It will stand tall with dignity rooted in its cultures, strategy informed by its interests, solidarity extended across borders. Our unity is not uniformity. It is a network of nations committed to peace, shared development, and mutual accountability. We call upon all Africans, return, build, defend. Scientists, teachers, Doctor, engineers, entrepreneur, your continent needs you more than foreign prizes. Join us in laboratories, workshops, schools, farms. Help us build universities, factories, infrastructure, and institutions rooted in African sovereignty. Our revolution is progressive. People first, Pan-African, and it begins here today. It is not the end of history. It is the beginning of a new chapter, a chapter where African nations chart their own paths, where our wealth fuels our people. Not foreign portfolio, and where dignity becomes the soil from which freedom blossoms. Let the banners of our revolution be woven in our cloth, sung in our songs, planted in our farms, and built in our schools. Let the pull of foreign domination fade under the rising sun of African possibility. Africa will no longer bow to the West. Africa will rise. Africa will build. Africa will prevail. Let history mark this hour the dawn of Africa's full independence. For too long, Africa has been a continent rich in resources but poor in power. Our lands have been drained of gold, our soil stripped of its wealth, and our people subjected to conditions that deny their dignity. This did not happen by accident. It was the result of deliberate systems designed to keep Africa dependent on the West. They came with the language of friendship, but left us in chains of debt, dependency, and despair. Today, that era comes to an end. We will no longer allow our economies to be dictated by foreign powers, who tell us what to grow, what to sell, and at what price. The days when international financial institutions decided the fate of African nations, through loans tied to impossible conditions. We refuse to be beggars in a world built on our wealth. No longer will our minerals leave our soil unprocessed, while our people remain unemployed. No longer will we accept military bases on our land under the pretense of protection, while their real mission is to safeguard foreign interests. Our sovereignty is not negotiable. Our independence is not symbolic. It is real, and it will be defended. We will invest in our industry, process our resources, and build our economies with our own hands. We will choose our partners based on equality and mutual respect, not coercion or manipulation. Africa has the right to decide its own destiny without asking for permission from those who profited from our suffering. This is not a declaration of hostility, it is a declaration of freedom. We seek peace, but we will not compromise our dignity. We extend our hands to all who respect us as equals, but we will break the chains of those who seek to control us. Our youth are awake, our people are united, and our resolve is unshakable. From this day forward, Africa will rise not as a subject of foreign powers, but as a continent of free nations, proud and sovereign. The time of submission is over. The time of true independence has begun. Africa's true liberation is not complete until it controls its own wealth and resources. For decades, we have lived in an economic system designed to keep us weak, dependent, and begging at the doors of foreign powers. Our raw materials are taken at cheap prices, processed abroad, and sold back to us at 10 times their value. Our farmers work the land, yet hunger remains widespread. Our miners extract gold and minerals, yet poverty still defines our reality. This is not by accident. It is the result of a structure imposed on us to benefit others. That system ends today. Economic sovereignty means no longer being trapped in the cycle of debt. We reject the loans that come with conditions forcing us to privatize our industries and sell our land to outsiders. We will not allow the International Monetary Fund or the World Bank to dictate our policies while our people suffer. Instead, we will chart our own economic path, one where African wealth serves African people. We will build industry that processes our resources right here on our soil. Our gold will no longer live as raw ore. It will be refined in Africa, creating jobs and strengthening our economy. Our cotton will not be exported as cheap fiber. It will be turned into textile by African workers. Our agricultural products will feed our people before they fill foreign markets. This is how we create value. This is how we build strength. And this is how we achieve dignity. Economic sovereignty also means fair trade, not exploitation. It means strategic partnership based on respect and mutual benefit, not control and domination. It means investing in science, technology, and education so that our youth become innovators, not migrants searching for survival. The era of economic dependency is over. Africa will no longer serve as the engine of prosperity for others, while its own people remain in chains of poverty. Our wealth belongs to us, and it will be used to build a future of abundance, opportunity, and pride. This is our right, and we will protect it at all costs. For years, Africa's culture, traditions, and identity have been undermined and replaced by foreign values that were never ours. Colonial powers understood one thing very well. To dominate a people, you must first strip them of their soul. They imposed languages that were not ours, dressed us in clothes that were not ours, and made us ashamed of our own heritage. But today, we say enough. Africa is reclaiming its identity, and no force on earth can stop this revival. Our culture is not a relic of the past, it is the foundation of our future. When we wear our traditional clothes, we are not just covering our bodies, we are making a statement of pride and sovereignty. This is why we have chosen to replace colonial symbols in our institutions with the symbols of our own culture. Our courts no longer require lawyers to wear robes that came from another civilization. Instead, they wear faso than fani, a fabric woven by our own people, a fabric that tells the story of resilience, unity, and dignity. We have banned the import of second-hand clothes that flood our markets and kill our local industries. We will no longer accept being the dumping ground for the waste of other nations. Our artisans will rise again. Our fabrics, our designs, our art will no longer be overshadowed by foreign trends. This is not just about clothing, it is about restoring confidence in who we are. Language is power, and we will teach our children in languages that carry our history, not in tongues that erase it. Our schools will no longer glorify colonial figures while ignoring the heroes who fought for our freedom. We will tell the stories of those who resisted, those who dreamed of an Africa free and proud. Cultural revival is not a luxury, it is a weapon of liberation. When a people know who they are, they cannot be enslaved. When they love their roots, they cannot be manipulated. Our culture is our shield against domination, and our identity is our strongest weapon. This is the new Africa, a continent proud of its heritage, confident in its identity, and unafraid to show the world that our traditions are not obstacles to progress, but the very soil from which true progress will grow. Africa's strength has always been in its unity, yet history shows how external powers have worked tirelessly to keep us divided. They drew artificial borders, created conflicts, and ensured that we look to them instead of to each other for solutions. Today, that era ends. Africa will no longer be a fragmented continent of isolated nations. We will stand together as one, strong and determined, because unity is our greatest weapon against domination. Strategic alliances among African nations are no longer optional, they are essential. No single African country can fully resist the pressure of global powers alone, but together, we are unstoppable. This is why we have joined hands with our brothers and sisters in Mali and Niger to form the Alliance of Sahel States. This is not just a political pact, it is the birth of a new era where Africans take their destiny into their own hands. We will share resources, intelligence, and defense capabilities to protect our sovereignty from foreign interference. We will build economic corridors that link our nations, create regional industries, and establish trade agreements that prioritize African prosperity over foreign interests. Our markets must serve our people first, not foreign corporations. The Pan-African unity goes beyond the Sahel. We call upon every African nation to join this movement of liberation. We must build continental structures that allow us to speak with one voice on the global stage. We must replace dependency with cooperation and competition with solidarity. The Africa we envision is not one where countries fight each other for scraps, but one where nations lift each other up to greatness. Our alliance must also extend beyond Africa, but only with those who respect our sovereignty. We are open to partnerships, but we reject domination. We seek allies who deal with us as equals, not as subordinates. Whether it is in trade, technology, or security, the principle will always be the same: Africa first. This is a new dawn for our continent. When we unite, no foreign power can dictate our future. When we stand together, no force can break us. Let the world hear us clearly. Africa will never again bow to division. We rise as one people, one destiny, and one Africa.
Africa's future rests in the hands of its youth, the generation that refuses to accept chains of dependency and the humiliation of subjugation. For too long, our young people have been told that success lies outside our continent, that opportunities exist only if they cross oceans and deserts, often risking their lives in search of dignity. This must end. The time has come for Africa's youth to rise, to believe in themselves, and to build a continent where their dreams can flourish without leaving their homeland.
We call on the youth to become the architects of Africa's new destiny. You are the innovators, the engineers, the farmers, the doctors, the soldiers, and the leaders of tomorrow. Do not wait for permission from anyone to create change. Do not allow yourselves to be used as tools of foreign interests or as soldiers in wars that do not serve Africa. Your strength is your courage, your creativity, and your unity. Continental awakening begins with the realization that Africa's wealth belongs to Africans. It is time to stop exporting our future. Every ounce of gold, every drop of oil, every acre of fertile land must serve our people first. This is the battle of our generation, the battle to break the economic chains that have held us back for centuries. The youth must lead this fight with ideas, with technology, with entrepreneurship, and with patriotism. We also call upon our African diaspora, son and daughter, scattered across the world, to come home, not just physically, but with their knowledge, their investments, and their love for Africa. The continent needs its best minds, not in the service of foreign nations, but working for the land that gave them life. Awakening is not only economic or political, it is mental. It is about rejecting the belief that Africa cannot rise. It is about silencing the voice of inferiority planted by colonization and watered by decades of exploitation. We are not destined to be poor. We are destined to be great. The youth of Africa must carry this torch. Do not let fear hold you back. Do not let comfort make you complacent. History is watching, and the future will remember whether we rose or bowed. Today we declare that Africa's youth will rise, awaken, and lead this continent into an era of dignity, sovereignty, and unstoppable progress.